Hello everybody, how you doing? It's Patty and I'm doing good. I thought I'd come on and talk a little bit because I think that we should go back and remember all the things that Fred Hill has said and done, and maybe we can make a case that proves possibly that Fred Hill took Summer Wells. It's my opinion only that he is very suspect now. The more that he talks, the more that Ziggy gets mad about him, the more that he says things, to me, makes Fred Hill look very guilty. Now, Fred Hill went to jail. And when he went to jail, this was not that long ago, like a year ago, I guess, or almost 2 years now, I'm not sure. But Fred Hill went to jail, and they said it was for drugs, but I think they use it as an excuse, because why did they question him about Cotton Simpson? The man that Fred blamed Cotton Simpson for having something to do with unaliving Summer Wells and hiding her in a cave on Laurel Run Park, in a secret cave underwater. And he gave us this big story, and he had people wandering around, and we thought it was a bunch of crap, and it really didn't prove out to be nothing. But I find it really interesting that Fred Hill had just seen, there's testimony from Fred's family that said that Fred seen Cotton Simpson just before, a few hours or whatever, an hour that day before Cotton Simpson fell off the cliff, off the rocks at Laurel Run Park, and he had a gash in his head, supposedly, and that he had meth in his system. And Fred hung around with Cotton Simpson, and I wouldn't doubt that he gave him meth. And also, he's blaming a dead guy for unaliving Summer Wells. I mean, how convenient is that? But it's really strange that Fred knew that Cotton had money on him and was talking about that. And it's strange that he lost his balance, but I heard that there was blunt force trauma to his head, so who knows what the real story is. But don't you find it interesting that Fred Hill was questioned in the police station and even had him take a lie detector test, which he did not pass, regarding Cotton Simpson? And it makes me wonder if Cotton Simpson either was involved with Fred in doing something to Summer, or if Cotton Simpson knew something, and who knows? I mean, he could have been robbed, and this is all allegedly, these are my opinions, but Ziggy wants to talk about suing Ryan and getting mad. Well, you know what, Ziggy? I guess your husband there, Fred Hill, he's the one who put himself out here with all these stories. We're only repeating what he's already said Fred has already said these things, and we're only repeating them. And it is my opinion that Fred had something to do with what happened to Cotton Simpson. And it is my opinion that he was robbed, possibly by Fred and Laura. Also, because they knew too many details and they talked about it. And why would the police question Fred regarding that when he's in jail for drugs? Okay? And make him take this. And it is strange that that's who he blames, the first person he blamed for, you know, this. So, I don't know why my TV just did that.
Here I am, field trip chaperone.
I guess it was because of a commercial, sorry. And another one, sorry.
My ride or die. This stuff changed my life. High protein, check. 1 gram of sugar.
The only way I can do this is to let it play. I mean, there's not much I could do about it. I wish I could fast forward it. I'm just saying I lost my place now. Okay, where is it?
We were told to go see this person, and we spoke with this person. And this person...
Anyways, so Fred blamed Cotton Simpson. Sent these people on these searches for summer at Laurel Run Park, where all the waterfalls are. And he goes into this guy that I'm about to show you, and I think you remember, but he went and spoke to Fred Hill, and Fred Hill told him a lot of different stuff. And I just want you to listen to this for a minute, and we're going to watch this, and then I'm going to give you some comments about it. But what I want to do is go through and point out some different things that Fred has said that makes him look like he is the one who did this. But let's just listen to this for a minute.
Said that we should go to the horse pond, and he said that he spoke with Don Wells, which is the father of Summer Wells, at approximately 3 hours, is what he said, after she was gone missing. And Mr. Wells had concerns about his daughter, but he talked about a book and talked about a sacrifice. Okay, a sacrifice. That's what this man told me. So this is firsthand. He says he spoke with him directly 3 hours. That he tells me as a reporter, and I say this as a reporter because that's important here in just a minute. So he goes on and says, you need to go check out the horse pond. And I said, where is the horse pond? He says, it's at Warrior Path. And that is a kind of like a state park kind of thing where families go, they go horseback riding, they go in the lake out there and ride around and swim and so forth like this. But there is a certain area where a lot of families go that is a campsite area. And then there's another area that is a horse area, but other families go there to swim occasionally, okay? But he says that, this is what he said. I'm just telling you what he said, and we'll put this in print. But the man says that he was led to believe, okay, that this is what he thinks has happened, that, I have to be careful how I word this, that this is what he said. And I'm reporting you what he said. He said that Summer Wells drowned at that horse pond. And when she drowned at that horse pond, the mother was upset about it and freaked out, and it was apparently it was an accident. Okay, and in that accident, the they brought the body home. They don't apparently nobody wanted to know anything was going on. That's what I got, and I asked that man that. Is that what you're saying? Nobody wanted to know. They didn't want anybody to know what was going on. He said yes. So he goes on and he says, I would go check the last construction site that Mr. Wells worked at. And I said, okay, do you know?
So he tells this big story to this guy, this guy from Skyline News. That was one of his first stories that he said. And then he also, excuse me, let me move this along here. Fred said that Summer Wells was sacrificed. Fred Hill said that Andy did this. First he said Donna Candace, then he said Andy did this. And to me, if you're reflecting so much on other people and you're asking all this stuff, trying to blame others, to me, you're pointing the fingers back at yourself. You know, when you point one finger at others, you're pointing the rest of them back at yourself. And I truly believe that Fred is pointing fingers at himself. And he doesn't even realize how bad this is. And so, if he's not guilty, then why does he want to say all these things? Why is he trying to deflect? Why is he trying to get other people to sit? You know what I mean? And so, I just want to, I can't remember if this is the one, but I just want you to hear a few things. No, that's not it.
Oil Paris Skin E.
Hold on.
Check. Put it to the test.
Sorry. Okay, I'm gonna have to turn this up. This lady, her name is Drew Seeker, and she did this video like 2 years ago. But she makes a really good point, and I want you to hear what she says. And I want to, you know, I wondered the same thing when Fred got arrested. I wondered what the, you know, was it really drugs? Did it have something to do with Summer Wells? Did it have something to do with Roy Cotton Simpson? And I just want you to hear the comments from this lady. This is a good video. I just want you to hear what she had to say. Just, you know, her question. Listen to this for a minute.
Got some information about Fred. And the information was about Summer Wells. And possibly, that's why they picked him up. Is the possibility? I don't know. But I'm thinking possibly it is. Maybe they weren't really wanting him on the drug charges. They were wanting him because of the Summer Wells stuff. That's my question. I honestly don't know. And that's why when I was watching Michelle, I was like, oh my gosh. What if they really wanted him not for drugs? What if it wasn't a drug bust? What if it was Summer Wells? Is that a possibility? Yes. It really is. It's a possibility. Because why all of a sudden he starts talking about Summer when he gets busted for drugs? That's just weird. And then he starts talking about a lie detector test. And he knows he's being recorded. That's kind of strange. What do you guys think about it? Do you think possibly that they picked him up because Summerwell stuff? Could it have just been the Summerwell stuff? I'm wondering. Maybe it wasn't drugs at all. Maybe it's about Summer. I think maybe. I mean, that's just really strange. He's picked up. He's in jail. And all of a sudden, boom, he's talking about Summer. Right away, did they question him about Summer? Or did they question him about drugs? I mean, that's just very weird.
And Cotton Simpson.
Why would he go on a call with Ziggy and say something like that? Why didn't he right away talk about drugs? Why is he talking about Summer? What does Summer have to do with him getting popped with drugs? Nothing. Maybe he doesn't want them to think that he's the suspect. Maybe he's scared. Maybe he's scared because he did something. That's just bizarre to me. I mean, who gets in trouble for drugs and then starts talking about something completely different? I mean, who would have thought? Right? Unless this whole time, the cops knew that possibly he was a suspect. Could it have been him the whole time that they were looking at? I don't know. That's why I came on here, because I have the question. You know? It's very odd to me. You get in trouble for drugs and you start talking about somebody that's missing. That's not normal at all. And he starts saying he knows where the body is. How do we know that she's not alive? How would he know she's gone? That she's not alive anymore? How would he know that? That's just, that whole thing is just strange. Is it strange to y'all? I understand wanting a deal and stuff, but that's not the way to get it. Come online and tell everybody that, you know, where a body's at. That just don't make sense. So what do you guys think? Does anyone have any opinions on it? I just think that's so strange. Anyone have anything to say? I think he's possibly a suspect. I think that's why they picked him up. I don't think they picked him up on drug charges, but even though he was charged, yeah. I bet they've been watching him so that they can pick him up. About the Summerwell stuff. Because why? Who does that? I mean, seriously. Think about it. Even if you did know information like that, what would make you say stuff like that on a recorded line? Is he really that dumb to say stuff like that on a recorded line? I mean, come on. The guy's got to be smarter than that. Unless he already told the cops all this stuff. Maybe he is just trying to get a deal. But I don't believe this is a way to get a deal by telling everybody you know where a body's at. And not everybody thinks she's passed away. I mean, some people think that she's been kidnapped for her own good. You know, and she's living with somebody that's taking care of her really good. So what would make him say something like that? I think they've been watching him. I think they've been watching him because of Summerwells. I think it's a big possibility. What do you guys think?
Well, I think it's a big possibility. You know, Fred Hill said that the cadaver dogs, they hit Somerset all the way up his driveway. But he said because Don and Candace were there. Well, no, that's not how it works. It would be the scent of the child. And another thing is that his sister said something about Summer's book bag and belongings were in the yard, Fred's yard. And then they said that Summer's clothes, some of her clothes were in the wash machine, an old wash machine in his yard. And then, what else? Oh crap, I just lost my thought there. But yeah, he says the cadaver dogs. And, he couldn't remember if he left at 3 or 4 that afternoon. But he knows that Summer went missing at 3 o'clock, which I think is strange and it seems very suspect to me. How do you know she went missing at 3 o'clock? Okay? Because they never called this in till 6:30, whatever. And then the thing that really bugs me is that Chad Arnold was there that day, who is a good friend of Fred Hill's. And it's possible that those two could have did something to Summer Wells and took her out of there. And Chad Arnold's been in trouble before, and I believe that they're related, that Fred and Chad are related. And it's just weird that he so happened to be in the yard. He happened to be there in the driveway when Candace showed up, and that was the first place they looked. So I find that very interesting. And it seems very suspect, all this stuff to me, like he's trying to distract us away, like he's trying to put the focus all these other places, and it's bothering him or whatever. It's either that or he's a total nut job, and that could be too. But you guys, don't you find it very suspect that he is continuing to go on and Ziggy's going along with it? I noticed Ziggy lost weight. She looks a lot thinner, but I also noticed she will not look up at the camera. And she wears eyelashes that are so dang long that I don't even think she can look up. But she is a very pretty girl. I think she is. But she won't look up hardly at the camera. And she fidgets so much it drove me nuts. I was trying to watch her to listen to her. And if you ever pay attention to her, she fidgets with her hair nonstop. She's got to fix her shirt. She's got to do this. She's got to do that. And she's just way too fidgety for me to watch her. And she won't look up either. So what's going on with her? But she's very defensive of Fred. She does not want to believe that he could be guilty in this. And, hey, he very well could be, whether she wants to believe it or not. That's her problem, if he is guilty. And, I'm sorry, Don and Candace both said that they believe that Fred would be capable of doing something like this. Well, Candace said she was afraid of Fred Hill, really. So she did say she went looking for Summer that day. She went down the road. She went all over looking. And so I do believe that she went down to Fred's. But I do think it's really weird that Chad was there and Fred Hill together. Now, I want to show you this last thing. Miss Christine, 5555 or whatever you want to say, she did some videos a couple years ago. This one's from 2 years ago. And, she's suffering with cancer. She had breast cancer. It's traveling through her body. And everybody needs to pray for Miss Christine because she's been friends with Candace and Don. And it doesn't matter whether you agree with that or not agree with it. This girl is suffering and going through it. So I do pray for her. And I hope you pray for her too. She has a channel. It's called Miss Christine 55555. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. If you put her name in the search bar, you'll find her. But she did this good map, and she kind of put some things together with Fred and Roy and Arnold and chat. So just listen to this little bit of a part, and then I'll finish up here and talk to you.
Okay, so we're going to type it in. His address is 1019 Mountain
Sorry, I gotta turn it down.
View Road in Rogersville. Okay. If you can look up here in the corner, you will see that I have progressed my Google search to the satellite year of February 2021. You can see that in the, let's see, I guess that would be your left-hand corner right here, if you can see right there. So now, as you can see, I've already pinned some things into the area, and it's very, very, very interesting. Wow, look right there. What's that? What is this right there? Here is Roy Cotton Lynn's home. And what is this right there sitting in his driveway? That, my dear folks, would be a red pickup truck that is seen on the satellite images for Google on February 2021. Another interesting fact is that his sister Brenda Wallen and his brother-in-law Randy Wallen and his nephew Cody Wallen live right next door. Could this be the Randy that was one of the tree trimmers that was there the same day that Summer went missing? I mean, I don't know what his profession is, but his name is Randy, and they didn't know his last name. But these people are very, very traversed in hiking and fishing and all those things. So as I scan out, you can kind of see the layout. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it up. So Roy's backyard, as you're going to see right here, look, his backyard is Laurel Run State Park, right here. Okay, see there? That is his backyard. Look at that. Now, if you're looking at my satellite with me, you will notice there is a red line. Okay, see the red line here? Let's follow this red line for about almost 5.5 miles, shall we? And while we're following this red line, what we can do is we are going to discuss some of the coincidences. So Roy was a retired worker from Warriors Path State Park.
Interesting.
Very, very interesting as we go through this terrain, and we will fix this terrain here in just a moment. If you see down there, there is a road that is going between these mountain peaks. Let's go a little faster here because this is going to take us forever. But we get through these mountain peaks here. Oh, let me scoot over a little. There we go. And we come down here to, whoa, where is this? Oh, there's the Wells house. Okay. So this is about 5 miles from Warriors Path State Park. So I just did a direct line, but let's together do a actual road mapping of it. So let me switch over to a different picture of Roy on his Facebook page, more of what he looked like when he passed away, and we will continue to do our road map.
All right, so now that we have moved over to a different picture and scene for Roy Cotton Simpson, as you can see on his Facebook page, he has a picture of the waterfall on Laurel State Park, and he posted it on October 7th, 2021. Also, his picture of himself is posted on here on October 7th, 2021. 2 people liked it, and that was Allie Mullins and Sarah White.
Let's go ahead, and what we're going to do is we are going to go back to Roy's address. Right now we are at the Wells address, and we are going to trace it back and see how many miles it is from Roy's house, what path he could have taken all the way to the Wells home. So we've got it typed in here, up here at the search bar, 1019 Mountain View Road, Rogersville, Tennessee. And what we're going to do is we are going to begin our search, and we're going to trace it back to the Wells house. What possible path he could have taken. Now remember that the tree trimmers were there that day, and I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not, but like I said, they are diverse in the outdoors. So I don't know if either the in-laws or himself may have been involved in the tree trimming, cleaning up lineman crew, but it is possible. So we're going to go ahead and stick for right now with the image of February 2021. And again, as you can see, there is Roy's red pickup truck. Now, if you were to Google the Google map in current time, not back into history, it will show that there is a white pickup truck that is now there currently.
So that truck was sold. The red truck.
But this red truck here was what he drove, or someone drove, when the Google images were created. So now we are going to go back, and
We are going to do a possible route that he may have taken to the Wells house, okay? So let's start here at his home. And we are going to continue on. Now, he worked at Warriors Path State Park, which is a very interesting, very interesting to me. Do you all think it's interesting? Also, his mother is an Arnold. Could Chad Arnold be his nephew?
Isn't that interesting?
It's possible. It is definitely possible.
That these guys are related.
So, right here's the corner where I have to turn off and go down the road here. And as you can see here in the bottom corner, as we add on the miles, this is Mountain View Road, right here we're on. As we turn that corner, we're just going to follow it through. And these little lines here are going to help us keep track of the miles that we're traveling to get from Roy's house to Summer's house. I'm sorry if this is boring to some of you, but I think it's interesting. And I do think there's some interesting dynamics about Roy and Fred coming up with his name, because he was not mentioned before. And so, was Fred sitting on this information? I don't know. What was Chad Arnold doing there at the bottom of Fred's hill? Fred was the very first person that Don and Candace, the house, was going to check for Summer. Why would that be? Why would it not be Jody Sue Brown, since they had a child around that same age? And also since, allegedly, as Jody Sue would claim, that she would watch the children on occasion, for whatever reason that might be. So you would think that Summer would possibly want to go there, since she knows him. But maybe she knows Fred, and maybe Fred's wife is very nice to Summer too, and possibly could have watched Summer as well. Don't know. But we're going to keep following this down the road here. And as we make our little turn, it's very interesting to me how easy it was to get over that mountain peak. Was it not? And let's see, let's zero out a little bit and see how far we are from our destination point. There's Solomon's Temple right there. And we'll be turning this way. So we're not too far from our destination spot, which is the Solomon Temple Baptist Church, which is right there. And we're going to turn on in. So what I kind of sinks into my mind is, why, when Candace asked Chad if he had seen Summer, why was his response, well, no, but the next time I go to Clinch Mountain, I'll look for her? Does that not sound odd to any of you? I would have been like, what do you mean that you will look for her the next time you go to Clinch Mountain? What does that mean? Why would you look for her at Clinch Mountain? That's just it's a very odd statement. Very odd. So we are arriving. We are getting ready to arrive here at the wells. As you can tell, we are on Beach Creek right now. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. There's Blue Roof Don's house. There's Ben Hill. This is Beach Creek. We're going to just follow this up the driveway. And then once we get to the top of the house, we will, here's where Summer's footprints ended, right here next to the driveway. There's the end of the dog trail. And so we're going to go on up the driveway to Noelle's house. Okay? Doesn't necessarily mean that he went up here. Just means that he could have been right there at the end, trying to go see Fred Hill or pick up Chad Arnold. I don't know. So now that we've arrived here, it was exactly 5.11 miles from Roy Cotton Simpson's house to the Wells house. So it's not that far. And where was Summer? Where did she go swimming the day that she went missing? Oh, that's right. She went to Warrior State Park. And where did Roy retire from? Oh, same park. Same park. And whose mother, who has just passed away at this time, what was her maiden last name? That's right, it was Arnold. Was this Chad Arnold's aunt? I bet it was. It's just very coincidental that Chad Arnold was at the bottom of the driveway when Candace went to go ask Fred Hill if he had seen Summer. Why was Chad there? Was Roy going to pick Chad up from Fred Hill's property? Were they meeting there? Is that who followed someone out of the Ben Hill, since it's one way in? So we know that Fred Hill and his fiance just got arrested for drugs, right? For a drug charge. I wonder if, and Don was always saying that there was meth heads that were parked all over the place down there. Were the meth heads that he was referring to? Could that have been Chad Arnold and Roy Cotton Simpson? Roy did get, in 2020, he got a meth charge. I believe it was sometime in October of 2020, a meth charge. I would have to look at my records and stand corrected. But I will place that later on in this video of what his charges were. But it's all stemming around methamphetamines. And when someone is on drugs like that, they are not thinking clearly. Could possibly one of them accidentally hit Summer on an accident?
No. But I do think that it is strange, and I do find it suspect that Chad Arnold was down there at Fred's house, and they just happened to leave at this time that Summer goes missing, okay? And they're hauling cars out, and that is just, the whole thing is really strange to me. And if you haven't watched Ryan's Finds Truth, you should go watch his channel, because he was talking about this box with these body parts and stuff that somebody had mentioned. I think it was Fred. But anyways, also, you remember Fred said he found human bones on his property. He told Ziggy that, and they were animal bones. Why is he so obsessed with trying to say that Summer's dead? You know, I had heard him say that he's seen them kids in there naked, that he's seen those little kids in the basement naked, and he said that he could see the kids in there, and he talks about a pool being in the yard and someone playing there. And you know, I'm just wondering if Fred is not a predator stalker. I mean, when you are on, just like that lady said, when you're on math, you can do some really bad things. And it just makes me wonder why he wants to continue to go on and tell all these stories. If they are stories, maybe they are true. Maybe there's only bits and pieces of truth. But I just find it really strange And Fred is very suspect to me, you guys. And with all the things that he has said, I mean, my Lanta, he has been nonstop. I mean, Jody, Andy, Roy, Don and Candace, who else? I know he blamed other people too. I mean, he's got so many stories, Ziggy. I don't know how you believe Fred. I don't know why you support him or stand behind him. I think he's just a big liar. But the point is that there's some reason that he wants to go through all this and say these things. And I think that lady had a really good point. You know, why was he talking about Summer Wells when he got busted for drugs, supposedly? And another thing I want to say is, usually you're looking at some big time for running a manufacturing house like Fred was. And, you know, he acts like he wasn't a part of that. Well, he was doing drugs and he was manufacturing them. And you would think that you would get in big trouble. And the same with Chad Arnold. He was in trouble. You would think that they would be doing some time for this, but they hardly got anything out of it. And it makes me think that they have let them, that they're narking for him, that they're walking around, that the cops are watching Fred, that they're watching Chad, that they were watching Chad. I don't know. But I believe that those two and Roy even could be involved. I don't know. You know, I hate to talk about the deceased that way, and I don't even know if Roy was around that day that Summer went missing, but we know who was, and we know that Fred put himself there, and Chad Arnold was there. So I just think that, you know, Ziggy, she wants to go on and on, how, you know, everybody's slandering and saying this or that. Well, you know, we know everyone's innocent till proven guilty, and these are just our comments. These are our opinions. It doesn't mean that it's fact or whatever, but I just try to show you different things that look suspicious because, you know, to kind of just show you how he has gone on and on about this. And he can't really tell us what he did that day. Like, he says that he went to the junkyard, but come to find out that the scrapyard, but the scrapyard was closed. So what did Fred really do? And what time did he really get home? And where was Chad Arnold and what was going on? And so, I don't know, it just irritated me to see Ziggy getting upset about Ryan. Well, Ryan is out there looking, he's trying to figure this out. You know, I don't care who likes him, who don't like him, he's trying. And I think that's great. And he just put out some videos that I was watching, and I figured Ziggy would get all ticked off about it. And she did. She always reacts because she doesn't want anybody to say anything bad about Fred Hill. Well, I just think that there's something going on with him, and he could very well be a predator, stalker. He could have took her. He could have took her somewhere. He could have sold her. He could have hurt her, you know, abused her, left her somewhere far away from there. I don't know. And Candace could have not been paying attention, I guess. It's hard for me to understand how anybody else could have got away with this unless it was a very close neighbor. And I don't believe Jody Sue or Andy did anything to Summer, but I do believe that Fred Hill is a big suspect on my list anyways. But you guys, I hope you're doing good. I just wanted to come on here and talk about all this stuff that, you know, when you really think about all the stories Fred has told, all the lies that Fred has told, and it makes me think that he is deflecting. he's trying to make up stories so that it's not him, you know? Like he's the one that knows everything that's going on in Summer's case, and him and Ziggy are going to solve it, you know, blah, blah, blah. But I think that it's really to take the focus off himself because he can't stop thinking about it. So, and you know, Fred has a criminal record, and he has been, he did have it on his record of child abuse, child endangerment of his kids or whoever's kids, but it is in his police records. And nothing anybody says, Ziggy, nobody's saying that Fred actually did anything, but he sure seems suspect. And it seems like it's possible that he could have done something. And if you want to sue people, go ahead. Because these are all, we're discussing things that Fred has said. So, I don't know how you're going to get anywhere with that, but anyways, other than that, nothing's going on, you guys. It's been so hot here. We finally had a couple days of cool off, and I just want to find out what happened to Summer Wells. I was happy to hear that the TBI was out there searching again, which makes me really, really happy. So, don't give up hope. Keep praying, keep hoping, keep saying her name, Summer Moon Utah Wells. She's missing out of Rogersville, Tennessee. And she has blonde hair, blue eyes. And if you know any information about her, please call 1-800-TBI-FINE. Anyways, you guys, I love y'all. I miss you. And I hope you have a good night. Take care. Bye.